Welcome back to Operation Evil. This is episode 87, The Pizza Delivery Murder. I'm your host, Nyoka.
I'm Rachel.
Before we jump into today's story, I wanted to give one last reminder that we are accepting spooky stories for our Halloween episode. You can remain anonymous and submit your story to operationevilpodcast@gmail.com. Also, shout out to our newest Patreon member, Lauren. Hey, Lauren. Thank you for joining our little community. We're happy to have you. And let's just go ahead and jump right into the story.
Yes, let's hear this story.
So on June 20th, 2012, just before midnight, a woman called the local Domino's Pizza and placed a delivery order. She identified herself as Jen, and she ordered a large half mushroom, half pepperoni pizza. The address for the delivery was at an abandoned New Franklin, Ohio business, and she instructed the driver to meet her around the back because she was working late. And no, it wasn't known that this business was abandoned to the people that took the order. The driver that night was 25-year-old Ashley Biggs of Jackson Township. She had no clue that she was being lured to her death. When Ashley never returned to Domino's after making her final delivery of the night, her co-workers reported her missing around 12:45 a.m. and filed a missing persons report. But why is she being lured to her death? It was all
Do
over.
we know the timeline, like when the delivery happened, and when she was reported missing?
Around midnight, right before midnight.
So like 45 minutes?
Yeah. And she still hasn't returned.
Okay.
And they're closed at this point, and they're doing their cleanup and everything, and she never came back. So why was she being lured to her death? Well, it was all over a custody battle. Police learned from Ashley's co-workers that she was having a dispute with her ex over custody of their 6-year-old child. You see, Ashley Biggs and Chad Cobb had a brief relationship that led them to having a daughter together. They met at a roller rink around 2003 when Chad returned home from the military after only being in the military for a short 6 months. Chad said that the military just wasn't for him, and he went on to run a cable installation company. Anyway, their friendship slowly turned into something more over the years. However, Ashley left Chad and their daughter in 2005, only months after she was born. Ashley decided to join the Army and started pursuing other relationships. Chad stated that she just wasn't around. In December 2006, Chad Cobb met Erica Stefanko through MySpace, and she moved in with him soon after. Erica had a son from a previous relationship, but within a few years, the couple would get married and start a family of their own. In the meantime, Ashley Biggs was in a 3-year relationship with Brittany Dunson, who testified later that Ashley said Chad was abusive and controlling. Now, Ashley was briefly in the Army, and she sought custody of her daughter in October 2011. Chad resisted. He was not happy, and he was fighting to keep custody of the daughter that he had raised for the past 6 years. And this custody battle was getting expensive, and Chad was running out of funds, and he was worried that he would have to give up the fight. So, I mean, I can understand he's raised this child her whole life, and now this is happening.
Right. I can understand both sides.
Yeah. Court records show an original custody action was filed in 2007, and Chad was named residential parent that same year. All appeared to be good, and no motions were filed for more than 4 years until October 2012. Different allegations, including contempt of court claims, were filed monthly against each other. For example, Ashley filed an affidavit alleging that Chad changed his phone number and was in violation of custody orders. In June 2013, and this is 2 days before Ashley would be murdered, she showed up at her 6-year-old daughter's school where she was attending the first grade to pick her up. And apparently, Ashley was given custody of the girl without Chad's knowing. And
What?
yes. And the girl didn't recognize her mother and did not want to go with her.
Oh, no.
And the police had to get involved to tell the girl that that was her mom and that it was okay for her to go with her.
So
And
it wasn't like she just went to the school and picked up the child without permission.
right.
Okay.
And Chad didn't know this was even going on. He discovered it when he went to the school to pick her up and she wasn't there to be picked up.
Oh my gosh. I'm sure his heart just dropped.
Yeah, definitely. Additionally, the same month as the murder, Chad filed papers contending that Ashley was interfering with his planned vacation with his daughter. He also claimed that Ashley was attempting to alienate his daughter from him and that she blocked the girl's ability to contact him. Chad alleged that Ashley made false claims to the sheriff's deputies that he had taken the girl to Florida. As recently as the week of the murder, Chad's attorney filed a subpoena to the Northeast Ohio Behavioral Health Facility seeking medical and psychological records for his daughter. Needless to say, this custody battle was getting messy. Now we're going to go back to the night of the murder. So they placed this pizza order. It was the last delivery going out that night, and Ashley arrives to the secluded business with the pizza. Her coworkers report her missing after she never returned, and the Summit County Sheriff's deputies went to the delivery location and found evidence of a struggle. Deputy Davison said, quote, "We checked the area and we had found that there had been a struggle there of some sort because we found large amounts of blood on the pavement outside of the business," end quote. After the police learned of the custody dispute between Chad and Ashley, the officers decided to go to a nearby relative's home of Chad's. And the home that they went to was Chad's grandparents' property. And according to a court document, one officer noted that there was an unattached garage at the rear of the property. The officer approached the garage on foot and discovered a black Lincoln Navigator parked behind the garage. And that vehicle matched a description of the vehicle owned by Chad's family. So when the officer approached the vehicle, he found Erica, his wife, seated in the passenger seat and 4 young children in the back. But the driver's seat was empty and Chad was not in the car. And the officer then heard heavy footsteps in the woods. And after other officers arrived at the scene, they proceeded into the woods and found Chad crouched behind a tree.
Wait a minute. So they had these kids in the car?
Yes. Yes. I know.
What the hell?
I know. Yeah. So they take Chad into custody after finding him in the woods. And Erica was taken to the police department, and the children were left in the custody of Chad's grandparents. Later that morning, a resident of Doylestown noticed a red light that appeared to be flashing in the area of the field of planted corn near her residence. She noted that the light remained flashing later that day and called the Wayne County Sheriff's Office out of concern that there did not appear to be anyone working or moving about in that area. So when the deputy responded to her call and they approached the area on foot along an ATV trail, he noticed a vehicle matching Ashley's vehicle as he emerged from the tree line into the cornfield. When he peered into the vehicle, he discovered a body in the back seat. He noted that the individual's face was very dark purple and that a zip tie was secured around her neck. A zip tie also bound her wrist, and wires from a device similar to a taser hung from her body.
Shit, that's brutal.
Yeah. There were also pieces of black duct tape that were found on and around the body. The individual wore a Domino shirt, and there was blood in the car, and the license plate matched Ashley's. So needless to say, it was Ashley. They discovered her in her car. Police later executed a search warrant at the home of Chad and Erica. And on and around an improvised table in the backyard, they discovered zip ties, camouflage clothing, a backpack, a scuba knife, boots, and a conductive energy weapon similar to a taser. Police also found a military-type flashlight with a red lens conductive to night vision, a black neoprene mask, a camouflage face makeup, and a pair of gloves with hardened knuckles, and a roll of black duct tape. So basically, it was all on a platter for them.
Yeah, they did some serious Amazon shopping or whatever, and here it is, right
Yeah.
here. Here's
And
the evidence.
They just left it out.
God.
It was all there.
Did you
Insane.
really think you were going to get away with it? What the hell?
So messy. This is all so messy. The autopsy showed that she was beaten and strangled to death. Police say Chad, who was 6'2", 244 pounds, used a 4-foot long zip tie, and this was probably likely from his cable installation company, is where I would think he would have this zip tie from.
That would make sense.
Yeah, and he used that to strangle Ashley after he first shocked her with the taser and beaten, because you got to think, she was probably a pretty strong girl. She was in the Army. So he probably had a surprise attacker and then take her down, is what I'm assuming.
Yeah, I would assume she would be fit, very fit.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Chad Cobb was indicted on the following charges. Several aggravated murder charges, and 3 of those were accompanied by the death penalty. Kidnapping, aggravated robbery, assault, retaliation, tampering with evidence, grand theft, abuse of a corpse, possessing criminal tools, and domestic violence. And Chad ended up pleading guilty to 1 count of aggravated murder, 1 count of kidnapping, aggravated robbery, assault, retaliation, tampering with evidence, grand theft, abuse of a corpse, possessing criminal tools, and domestic violence. The remaining charges were dismissed. And with his
I'm sorry, did you say that, was there anything, any charges that were brought, begins that the kids were, there?
No, they didn't say any charges with the kids there at this time. But if there was, it was dropped because he took this plea. And the only reason why he took the plea was because he wanted the death penalty off the table.
I'm sorry about that sound, by the way. I'm having cord issues here, so I'm so sorry.
You're good. You are good.
Please continue.
Chad's defense attorney, Adam Van Ho, stated, Chad is a family-oriented guy who loves his children very much. On February 28, 2013, the trial court sentenced Chad to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He did appeal, and the court affirmed his conviction. And I did find Ashley's obituary, and I'll just read a really small piece of it. It says, okay. Ashley N. Biggs, born January 9th, 1987, died unexpectedly June 21st, 2012. She was handed into the arms of her mother as one of God's kindest and gentlest children, full of smiles and laughter, kindness and joy to everyone who knew her, a smile that was big as the world. So I just thought I'd read that little insert. Now, knowing a female placed the pizza delivery call, the detective who investigated Ashley's death initiated contact with Chad in jail and monitored Erica's social media. Chad never spoke to the detective. He protected Erica and wanted to make sure that she could raise their children. So now Chad's in prison for life, no possibility of parole. Erica remains free and starts a romantic relationship with one of Chad's best friends named Mike Stefanko.
Oh, no.
Soon, Erica is pregnant, and it wasn't with Chad's baby. So when Chad gets wind of this, he is livid. So you got to think, he's stuck behind bars now. he's protected Erica so she could raise their children. And in return, she's shacked up with his best friend and she's pregnant by him. And now his best friend moved into his home, playing house with her, raising his kids, being dad to his children.
But damn, dude, what did you expect? I mean, I get it. Like, you did not want to lose custody of your child, but like, what did you think was going to happen?
Yeah. So everything's falling apart, right? And Erica and Chad get divorced, but the story isn't over yet.
You're kidding.
No. I mean, now that several years have passed, the now teenage daughter of Ashley and Chad reveals that she has no memory of her mother due to her mother being absent in her life. Her earliest memory of her father was when they went out to eat and she helped him fix his car. But the girl revealed something more disturbing. Before and after her mother's murder, the teen received counseling that uncovered abuse that she kept as a secret. She told her counselor that Erica had mentally and physically abused her in the months leading up to the murder. She said that Erica told her that if she told her father, the abuse would get worse.
Oh, no.
Yeah, the girl said that Erica forced her to eat dog feces, attempting to hide it by putting it in blueberry yogurt. She said, quote, "I knew what it was. She was screaming and yelling, and I didn't have an option." She said Erica hit her and once held her down on the ground with her knee on her chest and a hand over her mouth. When she was nearly passed out, Erica let go. She even stated that Erica put her in a dog crate once. Now, she thinks Erica was jealous of her close relationship with her father because she would hug and kiss her dad, like when he got home from work. And the two of them would have breakfast on Sunday mornings and they would do these things together. And she was just a very jealous person. Now, she never told her father about the abuse, and he didn't learn of it until his daughter talked about it during counseling sessions that started during the custody dispute and continued several years after Ashley's murder. So I think it's safe to say that Chad is feeling pretty betrayed at this point because now he found out, his daughter was being abused.
I feel for him.
Yeah, everything's just falling apart. Now, remember, Chad initially refused to speak to the detective when the detective reached out to him in jail. But now things are different. So in 2019, Chad writes a letter to the detective that provided a lead in the investigation, which was to contact his mother, who may have had an audio recording of a conversation between her and Erica that was secretly recorded back in 2014.
Pretty smart.
Mm-hmm. The detective, Michael Hitchings, always suspected Erica played a part in Ashley's murder because they knew that female called to make the pizza delivery order, but they could never prove anything.
And I'm sitting here thinking, did she talk him into doing this?
I don't know. But Erica was arrested after detectives said new information showed she made the bogus delivery call that lured Ashley to the parking lot where she was killed and drove Chad to that location. She then returned Chad after Chad killed Ashley and then followed Chad to the cornfield where he left Ashley's car with the body inside. And then Erica drove Chad home where he showered, and the two of them, with cleaning supplies and 4 kids in the car, returned to the murder scene where they planned to clean up the evidence. But when they got there, they changed their minds because they saw the police were there, and then that's when they hid at Chad's grandparents' house. Now, keep in mind that all of this was done with the kids who ranged from 2.5 months to 6 years old sleeping in the car. Just like you obviously picked up on that in the very beginning.
And, in quotations, sleeping.
Yeah. On November 19th, 2019, Erica was indicted on the following charges: 2 counts of aggravated murder, 2 counts of murder, kidnapping, aggravated robbery, assault, tampering with evidence, grand theft of a motor vehicle, gross abuse of a corpse, and possessing criminal tools. The state dismissed all of the charges other than the aggravated murder, kidnapping, and aggravated robbery based on the statutes of limitations. So at this time, Erica's now 38, and she went on trial in Summit County Common Pleas Court on November 16th, 2020, and it was live streamed on Court TV. And you can actually go through and watch her trial on YouTube if you look it up, just in case if you're interested. Now, her stepdaughter was one of the people who testified, and she was recalling the phone conversation, which her stepmother used a fake name to order the pizza. And this was supported by the account given by Chad, who also testified by video from prison. Now, Erica's attorney attempted to keep the teen from testifying, arguing that she was too young at the time of the murder to be a credible witness. However, the judge allowed her to testify. Now, Summit County prosecutor Sherry Bevan Walsh said the teen showed courage by testifying and called her impressive. She said, quote, "She is well-mannered, well-poised, sociable, and well-adjusted considering the tragedy she has lived through. We are so very proud of her and how she has survived going through so much," end quote. To prepare for court, the teen binge watched the courtroom drama Bull. I don't know that drama. Do you?
No, never heard of that one.
Cindy Cobb, which is Chad's mom, suggested this was a way for her granddaughter to get herself familiar with the process and the layout of a courtroom and just the lingo that they use. So that's why the teen binged that, and the teen went back and forth on whether she should take the stand. And to help her with her decision and better understand the process, the court appointed her an attorney from an agency that assists crime victims. Ultimately, she decided to testify and to do it in person instead of video, which was an option at the time because that COVID was happening during this time too. And she thought that by doing it in person, it would make more of an impact to everyone. So that's what she did. She spoke about the phone call she overheard on that night, in which Erica ordered the pizza under the fake name. She stated that she was sitting in the back of the car while Erica was in the passenger seat, and it was pitch black outside. After that, she recalls sleeping in the car and then waking up the next morning at her great-grandparents' house. After her testimony, the teen watched as much of the trial as she could on court TV around her school schedule. While waiting for the verdict, she stress ate Cheez-Its. When she heard the guilty verdict, she immediately texted her grandmother, "We are all relieved." She also wrote a draft of what she wanted to say to Erica in Erica's sentencing. She said she thinks Erica should share the blame for her mother's death. She said, quote, "She was basically the driver. Without the driver, no one would have been anywhere." She compared this to a person who was the driver when a crime like kidnapping or a robbery is committed. That person, she said, is considered equally culpable to the person who did the crime. Chad's mother, Cindy, the girl's grandmother, agrees that both are at fault. She said, quote, "He got backed into a corner, but he didn't get into it by himself." The teen thinks her father deserves to spend time in prison, though she wished he'd be released at some point. The two have remained in contact through letters, phone calls, and visits. She plans on keeping the relationship with her father in the future. Now, remember how Chad told detectives that his mother may have some kind of secret recorded conversation with Erica back from 2014?
Yeah.
Well, some of it was played in court, and it was pretty damning, if you ask me. And I will play just a few seconds of one right now for you, a little bit of that recording. You made the phone call and you set the meeting up. Okay, so she admits to making the call, all that stuff, but she also says the following things. If everything had been told exactly as it happened, we would both be in prison right now. She also said, every time I hear a siren, I think they're coming for me. And Erica alleged that Chad told her that he wanted to save Ashley's skull as a trophy.
Chad told Erica that?
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe he did. I mean, he was mad, right? He was bad.
Mm-hmm.
Another disturbing thing that came up in court was that Erica defecated on Ashley's grave and said it was because of all the shit she put them through. And prosecutors said Erica was involved in planning, executing, and attempting to cover up Ashley's murder. Her defense stated that there is no forensic evidence that ties Erica to Ashley's murder, and that the people who testified that she played a role into the murder, including Chad's mom and daughter, did so hoping that this would help Chad get out of prison. Prosecutors said Chad wasn't promised a deal in exchange for his testimony, and he wasn't.
Yeah, and it doesn't make sense because, like, why did you have your kids in the vehicle sleeping at the crime scene, and why did you call and order that pizza under a fake name?
Mm-hmm.
And what is her deal with feces?
I know. I wondered that too. There's definitely a theme there.
Did she ever get charged for abuse? For abusing the teen?
No, it didn't say. It didn't say. Now, Erica's defense attorney said Chad didn't mention Erica's alleged involvement during his sentencing in 2013 or the next year when a new Franklin detective approached him. He said Chad only detailed her alleged involvement when he became concerned about visitation with his children. Erica's defense attorney stated, quote, I would argue that Erica Stefanko is not guilty and that Chad Cobb not only is the real guilty person, which the state agrees with me on, but would also argue Chad Cobb put together a plot to sink her, end quote. He went on to explain that Chad Cobb's motivation was revenge against Erica, who married his best friend after his arrest and moved into Chad's former home. The assistant prosecutor agreed that there was no forensic evidence to tie Erica to the murder scene because she didn't participate in the actual slaying. He concluded by stating, quote, you don't have to be the one who does the killing. You have to be the one that helps the one that does the killing, end quote. On November 25th, 2020, the jury found Erica Stefanko guilty of aggravated murder and not guilty of the remaining charges. On July 30th, 2021, the trial court sentenced Erica to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 30 years. Lastly, Chad's mother said that her son is remorseful for Ashley's death and his daughter's abuse. She said that Chad sends her something each year to place on Ashley's grave on the anniversary of her death. On the latest anniversary at the time of the article that I researched, which was in 2020, Chad sent her a rose made from popsicle sticks for Ashley's grave. And that's it. That's the story. That's all for today's episode.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you can't get enough Operation Evil, consider supporting the podcast by joining our Patreon. There are many perks, different tiers to choose from. But regardless of what you pick, you'll get a shout out on our episode and you'll get at least one 30-minute bonus each month that is exclusive to our supporters. If you can't join Patreon, consider buying us a coffee. There's a link in our show notes. Or if you want to support us for free, like and share our Facebook page. Those things help us out a ton, and we really, really appreciate it. Next week, we plan on a special Halloween episode, so look forward to that. But yeah, that's the story of the pizza delivery murder. And it was all very disturbing, I think.
Definitely so.
In the end, the karma came back to get all of them, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just devastating. They left this poor girl. They should, they should have left her alone.
They should have. But I think she was doing really well and going to go to college and living with her grandparents and in a better situation. So hopefully she's still doing well.
I've heard some people say that testifying in court is a bit of closure or a way of healing for them. So hopefully she was able to heal a little bit with, being able to testify and all that.
I hope so too. And it was nice because they did not show her face and they did not give her name during this. So even though it was televised, her identity was still hidden, which is
good.
That's good for her.
She's been through it enough. Like,
yes,
it's very, very respectful.
Yes, I thought so too. But
tell us your thoughts on this case. Go to Facebook.
Yeah, I'd like to know.
Our Operation Evil community group and tell us what you think.
I mean, I can see where Chad was like, went off his rails and he acted out of emotion and went wild and he did the wrong thing. He did. But I almost like saw it leaning to that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Raising I get it and everything, but
there's a line.
There's a line and he crossed it and that was bad. And then everything fell apart for him and he deserved it after that.
Right.
So I don't know. I'd love to know everyone's thoughts.
Yeah, that was great. Thanks for telling us that.
Thanks. Well, I guess we'll talk to you all next time. Goodbye.
Bye.